This is Josh Taylor and you're watching Boxing Social.
This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social. I'm delighted to be joined by legendary sports broadcaster Al Bernstein. How are you, Al?
I'm great, and I'm thrilled to be here in Scotland for my first time ever in Scotland, and I'm here to do a fun fight, so it's going to be great.
When did you get in?
I got in here last night and got to see just a little bit of Glasgow, but not too much. So hopefully in the next few, I got to sneak. I'm here for a short period of time. I've got to get a crash course on Scotland, although I feel like I know Scotland because I'm a devoted viewer of Outlander. So that tells me everything I need to know about Scotland, right? Or am I wrong about that?
As I'm not from Scotland, I will either confirm or deny that.
You can't deny or confirm that, right?
So you're here for a good time, but not a long time.
Yeah, only a short time, but it's thrilled to be here because I get to see the fervor for Josh Taylor and the excitement that exists here for him in this country, and a great fight as well.
Talk to me a little bit about that fight, because this is sort of a coming-of-age fight for Josh Taylor, very early for him to be facing somebody like Viktor Postol, somebody very experienced. What's your assessment of this fight? You know,
it's an intriguing, calculated risk, because normally at this point in someone's career, with just fights in the teens, you probably wouldn't be facing somebody like Viktor Postol. But they feel like, because of his amateur experience and because Josh Taylor is a nuanced fighter. You know, he's not the typical fighter with this kind of experience. He seems like more of a veteran. I think they feel like, let's go for it. He's ranked already. And Postol, while he lost to Terence Crawford a couple years ago and has had one fight in between, is a top fighter. And at 34, the question is, have you gotten him at the point where his skills are diminished, or have you gotten still the old Viktor Postol? I understand Postol looks very good in training, and even in the Crawford fight, when you go back to that and you look at it, you know, he held his own in spots. Crawford is arguably one of the top 2 or 3 best fighters in the world. So fighting Viktor Postol is no small risk.
It seems to me like in boxing these days, every conversation is about who a fighter doesn't want to fight. This fight isn't going to happen yet. He's not ready for that fight. Josh Taylor is somebody who's been matched very aggressively throughout his career. How refreshing is that for you, somebody who's a devoted boxing man?
Well, it's great, and you know, at the end of the day, it helps your fighter, because that's part of the reason why at this early stage, Josh Taylor is not only able to fight a Viktor Postol, but he is one win away from potentially fighting for the World Championship. This is an eliminator fight, and so in theory, he could get a world title fight his very next fight. That would not have happened, I don't think, and they wouldn't have been able to move him so quickly if they hadn't been aggressive but not reckless in matching him.
What's the perception of Josh Taylor stateside? He's somebody who defeated Miguel Vasquez, somebody who'd never been stopped, obviously a very seasoned campaigner. What's the general feeling about him?
I think among boxing fans, they're starting to get a familiarity with him, and they're understanding that he's a really good fighter. And now the world shrinks, right, because of YouTube and because of the internet. We get to see fighters across the pond, just like you do, from America, that you might not have otherwise seen. And it's great because it gives us a familiarity with them. And the sport, which is, you know, so international. I mean, boxing is the most international of sports because it crosses all boundaries. I think people are becoming aware of him, and he will, you know, if and when, which he probably will, he fights for a world title, I think the fans in America will have some understanding of him. So when he comes and he's a terrific fighter, they won't be shocked.
How big of a statement would it be for a Josh Taylor win here, or if he was able to even force a stoppage against Viktor Postol, something that Terence Crawford wasn't even able to do?
I think it would be very big for him. You know, Viktor Postol is not, I hate to use a phrase like this, completely damaged goods. You know, I mean, he is a fighter who still has a skill set. He worked very hard for this fight. He had a 10-week training camp. It wasn't like he took it on the last moment. And in his fight after Crawford, the fight he had back, he looked okay. He didn't look great, but I think he understands that this is a moment where he needs to shine. And Viktor Postol is a guy that produces surprises. Many people did not expect him to beat Lucas Matisse. And Selçuk Aydin, who was a very tough fighter, he's beaten some very good fighters. So he's a man who knows how to rise to the moment. And so in that sense, you have to look at him as a risk.
Now, I'm going to try this anyway, but finally, I'd like you, if you will, to give me a prediction for Fight Night. I know you're very long in the tooth in the most respectful of ways, so I'm not sure that you will give me one, but if you would, Al, prediction for Fight Night.
I do have a long-standing rule that when I'm announcing a fight, I don't give a prediction, but I will say this. in terms of the mechanics of this fight, I think that for Viktor Postol to be successful, he's going to have to box in this fight. He's going to have to use his reach advantage, though Taylor is as tall as him. Use his reach advantage, be effective, and use all of the ring and frustrate Taylor. Taylor's mission, though he is also a boxer-puncher, I think is to walk him down and work the body. I think the body punching for Taylor is going to be a key in this fight.
Okay, well, Al Bernstein, thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social. Big fan of your work. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow night at the SSE Arena in Glasgow.
I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to participate in this, thrilled to do the show on Channel 5, and it's a joy to be over here.
Thanks very much.
All right.